Hello and welcome back to what's going to be my day 7 for my year of gratitude. On my journey back to my truth. Today, wanted to show you all, I hung these curtains on my front porch in front of my little bench I planted. So we're going to sit out here today. Um, Now, I gotta be straight up and honest with you. This is actually going to be a video about what happened yesterday. With the day before yesterday, where I was just screaming at random strangers who wouldn't help my daughter. Yesterday was just kind of a lot. I spent the day marinating on what had happened, where I'm at, mentally. Just kind of what I want to do moving forward, and just didn't really feel up to making a video. And you know what? That's okay. My goal is to do one every day. I'm still going to talk about what happened yesterday, but that just means I'm going to be doing 2 videos today, and that's all right. There's no actual rules. This is life. We're all just doing the best we can with where we're at on any particular day, so that's fine. So for today, it's really early. It's like 6 o'clock in the morning. I don't know why, but since I've started my treatments, I've been waking up early on my own, which is fine with me because watching the sky right now, it's these gorgeous colors of, there's mauves and pinks and oranges, and the birds are singing, and there's not anybody awake in my house. It's just a nice quiet time to be by myself, so I will take it. For today, we're just going to talk about something really light but fun, and that is this little guy right here. This is a member of the gourd family, or I guess a squash. It's actually a fruit, but people treat it like a vegetable because apparently it's not very sweet. I haven't actually eaten it yet, but I've been trying to find it forever. So this little guy right here is called a chayote, and that's spelled Chayote. Now, the whole reason I found out about this guy in the first place is because I was looking at plants that are more rare or indigenous to just certain areas. I'm really interested in the history of plants, especially ones that seem like they're endangered, I guess, for lack of a better word, or there just aren't a lot of people still growing them. That's the kind of things I want to grow and try to help preserve. So this little guy right here, I found out about because in New Orleans, they have their own special variety of these. There they call them, best I can figure out the pronouncement is mirliton, which if you look at how it's spelled, it looks like mirliton, Mirliton. But the pronunciations that I saw phonetically online look like they pronounce it mirliton. Now, it's funny because I asked my husband about it because he was born and raised in New Orleans, and he's never heard of it. But they have recipes on Rouse's, which everybody knows. New Orleans Rouse's is famous down there as a grocery store, and they have Rouse's mirliton recipes. So I don't know why he was never introduced to it, but they do have it. Now, the cool thing about this little guy here is you can see he's sprouting already. And I actually had been looking for these for about a year, and had tried to get some actual authentic New Orleans mirlitons and couldn't get them. They've become quite rare, unfortunately. So, and my understanding is not that they're difficult to grow, but they're not necessarily the easiest thing. So when I was walking through our local grocery store and saw these chayotes here, which these actually originated from Mexico. So when I saw these, I went ahead and picked them up and brought it home, and it was just this little, like, Kermit the Frog sort of mouth, or old man looking mouth thing there. Nothing was coming out of it. So they said if you just let it sit for a while, like potatoes, it'll sprout. So I let it sit where I always am messing up my potatoes and sprouting. And sure enough, first it had that little white piece come out of it, and now we have the sprout coming out as well. So this guy is almost ready to plant. I'm going to be planting him shortly in my greenhouse because he requires a long growing season. So I'm hoping my greenhouse will provide me the long growing season. They really grow, better in places like Mexico and Louisiana where they have an extended season. Me being up here in the, middle part of the United States or Midwest, ours isn't as long. I'm zone 6B. So I'm hoping my greenhouse will extend it enough to see. I mean, it was 70 cents. It's a fun experiment to try. And if I'm successful with him, then I'm going to double down on my efforts to try to get an authentic New Orleans one and try to grow that as well. So apparently these guys are so prolific. They grow huge, long, gorgeous vines with tons of fruit on them. And it was so much to the point that every backyard garden in New Orleans had one of these. And the cool thing about it is that it doesn't grow from seed. It has to grow from the plant itself. If you take it apart and take the seed out, it won't grow. So it only grows in this fashion with the actual fruit. So it was said that what people would do is go ahead and put some of these in their closet, and when a new neighbor would move into the area, one of the gifts was these, and that you would just find these mirlitons growing on the fences in between all of the houses, and it's supposed to produce a lot of fruit. So it's just kind of a cool thing. Well, as time has gone on, people got busy. I think around the 80s, 90s, people quit gardening as much as they used to. So they still had some people growing them, but between Katrina, which we actually were living in New Orleans when Katrina happened, that will be a story for another day, between Katrina, where the gardens were flooded, and then a lot of times we weren't allowed back to our house for 3 weeks. I mean, and in the very, very hot August weather in New Orleans, if you're not watering your plants, they could easily die. So between the neglect and the flooding, a lot of these were lost. And then apparently in 2016, we had moved away by then. There was another event that happened, and I'm not sure if it was a freeze or what, but on the webpage they were talking about between the Katrina and the losses, and then whatever happened in 2016 and the losses. It's just really hard to find the mirlitons from Louisiana anymore, which just makes me sad. I think they ended up finding one from somebody who wasn't in the actual New Orleans proper area who was still growing them. But there's also a Thibodeau white one that I think would be cool too, but it's just they're going away because people aren't growing them anymore. So anyway, I just thought it'd be fun to learn how to grow them, and if I do a good job with this guy, I'm going to try to get some of those rare ones and propagate them as well, and just something fun to try to preserve a little bit of history. So as far as what's going on, my vlog portion, actually yesterday ended up being a decent day. I had called and talked with my sister, and she is just a wise woman, and she was telling me a story that she had heard, which I will spare trying to tell you the story because I won't tell it nearly as well as she does. But basically the story was about this man who bumped into a woman who was carrying a cup of coffee, and she spilled the coffee all over her, and she was upset and yelling at him, and I don't know exactly how it went. I can't remember, but it was something to the fact of no matter what the cup held, when you get bumped, it's going to spill over. So if it's coffee or tea or whatever, it's going to spill. And the point of the story is that whatever you have inside of you, when you get bumped and have something happen that shakes you up, that's what's going to spill over. So if you have anger inside of you, anger is going to spill over. If you have kindness inside of you, kindness is going to spill over. So that was just really wise words, because obviously I had just had a lot of frustration spill over onto the random secretary. So I don't want that for myself. That is not good to have the people around me. So which also goes back to this year of gratitude and trying to learn to be more grateful. And so after that conversation with my very wise sister, I sat there and really, thought about it for a while. And she also gave me the really good idea of calling and seeing if I could get the contacts. She's like, call back, try to talk to the doctor. Well, when she was talking about the doctor, it reminded me that we had actually seen a second eye specialist. And so I decided to try to call her office instead to see if they would be willing to write it. Well, they put me through to the assistant for the doctor, who at first was like, well, I'm not sure. And I said, my daughter is dealing with so much, and she asked me to get this for her because her headaches are just really bad. And she said, this helps. And, this is my kid. So if I can do it for her, I want to. And she's like, oh, no, absolutely. I completely understand. You'll do anything for your kids. And I was like, no, you're right. You absolutely will. I start crying on the phone. This woman is not only going to write the letter, she is also going to, she thinks she has some trial payers in the back. It's going to give me those as well, so I don't have to even wait for them to come in, and she can go ahead and start wearing the contacts right away and hopefully help with those headaches. So it's amazing what changing your reference does, and the attraction of good things coming into your life just improves just by having a different reference. And then Immunology called me, and they have an opening on Monday. So, which yesterday was Thursday, today's Friday. So less than 5 days, we're going to be going and talking to the immunologist. So hopefully they will have some answers too. It's really hard because my daughter's going downhill again, and I don't know why. The doxycycline I had talked about had helped her a lot. And it's an antibiotic, so I don't really understand what about an antibiotic would make it so she doesn't have anxiety and OCD and, these other symptoms where she's exhausted, tired, weak, all of it. But for whatever reason, it was working, and she's done with it because it was just a short-term course as a prophylactic for the ticks. So now that she's done with that, her behavior is going downhill again. And it's really hard because whatever's going on with her, part of it is the irritability and honestly oppositional behaviors. Like, she's just mean. I don't know if you've ever had to deal with somebody with mental health issues, but they can be really mean. And so to sit here and, a week ago, I had my extremely sweet daughter back, just loving, giving me hugs. If I'm laying down resting, would actually crawl into bed and cuddle with me for a few minutes. I can't remember the last time she did that. It's been years. And so now I just wonder if she hasn't been having this brain inflammation kind of low-key for years, ever since she was a little girl. And finally taking the antibiotics affected that somehow, because she was my affectionate kid again. And so to have that leave and have her go back to being mean and just saying terrible things and irritating her younger sisters, just refusal to do anything. I ask her to help out around the house. Why should she? It's not her house. She didn't even ask to be in this family. I mean, she just gets mean. And it's hard because I know that's not her. I know it's the inflammation in her brain. I mean, studies are even showing now that depression is all inflammation in the brain. So what do I do to get rid of this inflammation and get my kid back? So it's doubly thankless because I'm fighting all the medical doctors and the kids in my own home. Like, there's never a reprieve. So anyway, it's just kind of hard. But my thank you for today is definitely going to go to the woman at the eye doctor place who was just so kind and so gracious. So I'm definitely going to be writing her a thank you. Even if the doctor doesn't approve the note, which she sounded like she could get her to, but even if she doesn't, just the kindness to try to come up with a solution for me and understand that I'm coming from a place of love as a mother and just not blocking me and not being rude about it if she has to tell me no. You know, a little kindness goes a long way. We're all fighting our own demons, and you have no idea what somebody else is dealing with. So it's always best to treat with kindness, and I didn't do that the other day, and I still feel badly about it. I did call and apologize and left a message, but I never heard back. So I'm assuming she got it. But the fact that this woman showed me kindness really has helped me get back to a better place, and I'm just going to work on that some more, trying to be gracious and full of gratitude. So I will see you all later today to talk about how today goes. I'm going to enjoy the rest of this beautiful morning, and we'll talk soon.